Okay. Yeah. But I need to check on the way. Okay.
All right. Gonna check on that. We're live. Yeah, I'm good, Mohammed. Thank you so much, buddy. There's Lennox.
David. We are also right in shooting that car.
David.
Yeah.
Just have a command. Urazi mkhulu.
Okay, guys. Imagine ngifuna ukuthi sesebekhona abahlonishwa ngisho ukuthi siqale siya live
Yeah, okay.
Tina, we're ready now. We're just waiting for indication for media houses. Can you start in 3 minutes? Tuba? Bav, can you start? All sorted. Can you start? Ndabe, can you start?
Yeah, start.
Okay. Timbalande. Mohammed. Yeah.
Your microphone, you're switched that off. Everything you say to the media houses at Untabe is coming out live as well.
Which one? This microphone?
The big microphone in front. Maybe Premier can just switch it on before he starts.
Oh, I should use microphone. Switch on the microphone. Okay. All right.
Is there a switch on?
welcome to this weekly update by the team of KZN on the issues related to COVID-19. We are doing it a bit earlier today because there's quite a number of other engagements that the team will be involved with. We welcome the Honorable MEC for Asia with the Head of Government Business, who's joining us for the first time in this briefing. Also welcome the Honorable MEC for Health. We're always with the MEC for Health. Without any further delay, I'm going to hand over to the Honorable Premier to take us through the latest developments. Over to you.
Thanks, Mr. Mabaso. Greetings to MEC Dube Ncube, MEC for ATIA and Lead of Government Business, MEC Nomagugu Smelane Zulu, the HODs, especially HOD Dr. Nzama from Education, all officials, colleagues, and colleagues from the media. We take this time and opportunity to extend our greetings to all of you. I would like to start by wishing all the good fathers across the province and our country a happy Father's Day. Our country is blessed with many good fathers who are taking care of their families and loved ones. We pay tribute to the men who act as guardians and mentors to women and our children. This Father's Day comes at a time when our nation is enveloped by a pall of gloomy following the spike in incidents of brutality directed at women and children. On this Father's Day, we call on all men to renew our commitment to protecting women and children. We say enough, it's enough. As upstanding men and members of society in general, let us not look away when women and children are being abused next door. Let us have the courage and resolve to step in by notifying the law enforcement authorities so that they can take the necessary action and save the precious lives of women and children while taking perpetrators to task. Let us reconnect with our consciousness and stop these acts, which are nothing short of evil. When it comes to the business of the day, the issue we are dealing with today, which is the primary issue, is about Advanced Level 3 Adjustment Strategy, which talks personal care services, including hairdressers and beauty services, as well as cinemas, contribute 3.6% and are creating or offering employment opportunities of about 118,000 jobs. These sectors constitute the backbone of the economy, as most of them are labor intensive, employing mainly young people, absorbing also unskilled and semi-skilled labor force, while there are skilled who are few there, but the majority are those with less skills. They are partially scattered throughout various parts of KwaZulu-Natal, even in townships and rural areas, and are operated by both SMMEs and big businesses. And they can be found in the formal and informal economy. The opening of these sectors, while this is mostly welcome, but also poses a threat, as by their nature, they do not allow for sufficient social distancing. The hairdressers and massage therapist has to do work on your body, and the waiter has to bring food to your table. It is for this reason that stricter protocols have been issued for these sectors to comply with. Just to illustrate this, by way of an example, each customer must be served using a clean towel not having been used by the previous customer. The PPEs worn by the workers must be changed after treating each client. Water for hand washing must be served. Sanitization, wearing of mask, all of that should be compulsory. So there is a need for constant cleaning of equipment, encouraging pre-bookings, and not allowing many people inside the premises. This will add some financial strain to those businesses, but these are the necessary conditions to ensure the continuous operations of these businesses. We've been constantly engaging with leaders of these sectors, and we can assure our people, the public in general, that these sectors are ready and eager to operate. In fact, most of these sectors have been petitioning government, requesting to be allowed to operate under strict healthy conditions. They have voluntarily committed themselves to adhere to all disaster management regulations in order to protect the well-being of their customers, staff, and businesses. As government will continuously monitor these sectors to ensure that they are operating according to the expected standards. When it comes to the latest weekly update and analysis of COVID-19 in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the key highlight of our presentation this week is that as at the 23rd of June, KwaZulu-Natal province recorded 1,043 new cases in the last 7 days. 258 cases were recorded just yesterday. The province continues to be the fourth highest countrywide by contributing 5% of the total cases. Since the beginning of June, all the districts that had few or no cases in March and April started reporting sporadic cases daily. The province has 7 new clusters, including healthcare facilities. The province has recorded 3 new deaths, and all of that are from eThekwini. With regard to the provincial epidemic curve, the KZN epidemic curve indicates that whilst the curve is still flatter compared to other provinces, we are seeing a spike of cases. As we have reported, of the 2,058 new cases reported yesterday, eThekwini recorded 57 new cases, and it was followed by Umgungundlovu and Ilembe district. eThekwini and Ilembe districts continues to contribute 75% of the total cases provincially, and to be specific, both of them are contributing 3,591. However, lately, in the past 10 days, Umgungundlovu district has reported more cases than Ilembe on daily basis. Ilembe district has the highest infection rate considering its population size, followed by eThekwini Metro, then Umgungundlovu and Uthukela districts. We must stress that all the districts receive cases daily. However, some districts have gaps of not more than 3 days without a new case. So almost all they report new cases on daily basis. It happened that there will be a district that will not report daily. Maybe it will take 2 to 3 days, then they report a new case. This week we have observed with deep concern when we surpassed the 4,000 mark for positive cases from the very first one. Currently, we have a total number of 4,806 confirmed cases. But we are at least moved by the fact that recoveries are continuing to increase. As of now, out of 4,806 cases, we've got 2,527 recoveries and 84 fatalities. We are still not happy of fatalities and send our condolences to all of those who have been affected, but we are at least better off when it comes to the improvement and recoveries, if you see the number. With regard to hotspots, at eThekwini, a total number of 541 new cases have been recorded in the past 7 days. The total number of COVID-19 positive cases in eThekwini is 2,795, with 1,603 recoveries and 64 deaths. A total number of 62 new cases have been recorded in the past 7 days in Ilembe district. The district comes as second after eThekwini, with a total number of 796 confirmed cases. Of this number, 531 have recovered, and there have been sadly 5 fatalities. When it comes to cluster cases, this week we have reported that our cluster cases has risen to 7, and the latest involved 19 officials from one municipality. We are noting the gradual increase in the number of positive cases involving clusters, especially in areas of work. We have escalated our efforts to ensure that proper care and treatment in line with COVID-19 protocols are adhered to by all stakeholders in areas of employment and businesses. With regard to hospital admission and isolation, we can report that as of the 18th of June, the province had a total number of 294 patients admitted in both private and public hospitals. The province has more patients admitted in private hospitals. Of those admitted in ICUs, we had 31 that were ventilated. Claywood at about 38%, and Chief Albert Luthuli 16%, as well as Tunjambili 19%. We are noting with concern an increase of patients who are ventilated in private and public hospitals, which is a new trend compared to the previous month. We provide the statistics here as of the 6th of June and the 20th, which is yesterday. eThekwini is having about 2,795 cases, and that is an increase of 19%. It worries, but we are then going to give you the detail of each and every district. I can indicate that in summary, KwaZulu-Natal is a total of 3,016 cases that were recorded by the 6th of June. But of yesterday, the number of cases now is 4,806. And the increase tells you that it's about 22%. With regard to tests conducted in the last 7 days, the total number of laboratory tests done by KwaZulu as of yesterday is about 191,400. Now that is for a period of a week, which is an increase of about 23,978. And then it tells you that we continue to improve on people who are being tested. The positivity rate is now at 6.3%. With regard to screening and testing, from the 8th of April to date, the province has now conducted over 6 million screening, which is in specific 6,310,861, which is more than 50% of the provincial population. Less than 2% of the cases were referred for sample collection and testing, and the positivity rate from screening and testing is now at 1.1%. With regard to contact tracing, KwaZulu-Natal has managed to identify 13,001 contacts. The province managed to monitor more than 90% of the identified contact. Of the total monitored contact, 98% had their specimen collected, and the positivity rate amongst the contact is 3.8%. With regard to public servants and municipal officials testing positive, we have noted a gradual increase in the number of positive cases involving public servants. These include 400 healthcare workers who have tested positive. We are now doing everything possible to ensure that our staff receive proper care and treatment in line with COVID-19 protocols. We trace and test staff who have been in contact with those who have tested positive. We undertake daily screening of all public servants and regular decontamination of all public buildings where people have tested positive. We continue to appeal to all public servants and the people of the province at large to take the necessary precautions at all material times. With regard to schools, like other provinces, KwaZulu-Natal province reopened the majority of its schools for grade 7 and grade 12 learners. Since the reopening of schools, there are 74 notifications of positive cases from our local schools. Of these, educators account for 57 positive cases, while learners account for 13, and food handlers 1, and security guard 1, and 1 office-based educator. So far, the schools with the highest number of positive cases is under Umgungundlovu district, and that school has 9 positive cases. The Department of Health plays a critical role in guarding and assisting schools to deal with the reported cases. In all instances, the officials of the Department of Education and Department of Health jointly visit schools with reported cases to assess the possible extent of the spread of the virus. The Department of Health conducts testing on the spot and thereby reducing the number of days that would ordinarily be taken while classes were suspended. We provide the breakdown in terms of cases, and eThekwini has about 13 educators and 6 learners affected. We are going to distribute these figures in detail, but maybe to take you through, eThekwini have 13 educators and 6 learners, Amajuba 2 educators and 1 learner, Ilembe 3 educators tested positive, Umgungundlovu 15 educators, 1 learner, 1 food handler, and 1 security guard. Hirigwana, 6 educators and 1 learner. Uthukela, 4 educators and 2 learners. Ugu, 5 educators and 1 learner. Umzinyathi, 4 educators. Umkhwanyakude, 3 educators. King Cetshwayo, it's only 2 learners who have tested positive. And Zululand, it is 1 educator and 1 office-based educator. So the total number of population infected and tested positive in school stand at 74. Preparing for the peak, all hospital facilities in KwaZulu-Natal, both public and private, have been mobilized in response to COVID-19. A central database has been established and is updated on regular basis in terms of the available beds. The department has also established fever clinics throughout the province, which assist with the effective screening and testing of patients. With regard to social relief programs, to ameliorate the impact of COVID-19 on the social welfare of our people, we have in place a social relief of distress, which is a program that is managed by SASSA, the Department of Social Development, through the Community Nutrition Development Centers. And we have been distributing food to almost all districts. King Cetshwayo, we have distributed 5,983, and Zululand more than 8,000, Umkhwanyakude more than 8,300, eThekwini more than 4,900, Ilembe 1,923, Ugu 3,899, Hirigwala 3,078, Umgungundlovu 3,146, Amajuba 3,670, Umzinyathi 7,159, and Uthukela district, it is 3,886, and the total beneficiaries of these have been 54,138 so far. With regard to municipal recovery plan post-COVID-19, the lockdown has posed a number of challenges for government in general, as well as for the people of our province. It has threatened the resilience of our economy. The inability or failure by businesses or households to pay for services such as water and electricity has increased financial burden on our municipalities. And to mitigate this impact, we've directed the provincial government departments as well as the national departments owing the municipalities to pay at least every or within 30 days. And we would want to follow that so that we are also not burdening the municipalities. With regard to the effect of alcohol, we would like to once again urge the people of KwaZulu-Natal to desist from the abuse of alcohol. The changes to the risk-adjusted strategy, which allowed the sale of alcohol, have had some effect of people getting involved in interpersonal conflict that result in assault, stabbing, and shooting. We've also noted an increase in number of road crashes. The common denominator in such cases is the use of alcohol. At the same time, and in this regard, this leads into a situation where we cannot afford to have sufficient beds for those who have tested positive for COVID-19, because in some cases, alcohol causes people to occupy beds. And therefore, siyafisa ukudlulisa umyalezo othi ake siziphathe kahle sonke. And in this, ETIA presented a detailed report which was clear in saying it is not that people who sell alcohol are undermining regulations. No, people who sell alcohol sells within the regulations. But people who use alcohol, then they abuse alcohol because they drink and drive, they drink and assault women and children, and cause problems that are not needed. Well, with regard to the treatment, we welcome the discovery of what is suggested to be a treatment that can assist us so far, and I'm sure MEC will talk to that. We welcome as government. We hope that the tests that are going on will help us, but once introduced, it will assist us to ensure that we save lives. We want to underscore the point that this medication will not be used for everyone who is COVID-19 positive. This is not as yet a cure, but a medicine that will be used for patients that are ventilated or need oxygen. Doctors will be encouraged throughout the province and through the department to use this medication when it is necessary. Well, let us conclude by wishing Professor Mzilikazi Khumalo a blessed and happy birthday. As yesterday, the 20th of June, we celebrated the birthday of an international colossal in the choral music, Professor Mzilikazi James Stephen Khumalo. We thank the Almighty for blessing him to reach this kind and contribution in the society. Professor Khumalo is one of our nation's icon in terms of African indigenous indigenous music. His life has been dedicated in the development of the African orchestra and choral music. He is known for a number of contributions, including compositions of songs and theaters like Ushaka Kasenza Ngakona, Mangi Fikwa Ukufa, and Princess Mako. He will always be remembered for his sterling role in directing the annual Sowetan Nation Building Mass Choir Festival. And for that we salute him for the work he has done for our country. And in conclusion, we continue to appeal to all citizens to observe all precautions and all regulations that have been put in place, especially hygiene. It is critical that we continue to ensure that we fight and curb the spread of this pandemic. We are hopeful that as we continue trying to mitigate the effect of COVID-19, people will continue as they have done at the beginning, observing all protocols and precautionary measures that have been put in place by government. These are not to suffocate our freedom and life, but these are put so that we are able to mitigate the spread and ensure that we protect our lives. With that, I thank you, Mr. Mabas.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Time for questions, and the colleagues that are online indicate if there are questions that are coming through. Can I start with the colleagues that are in the house? The NCA? Yeah. Let's start with you.
I will start with OMC. when we were in Guamondi last week, after that story, we spoke to some of the unions, and they raised concern about the increase in the number of infections among healthcare workers, and the Premier also indicated that there is also an increase. But the question was, what could be that spike attributed to? I don't know whether you have been able to identify what could have led to the spike. Whether is it not the availability of the PPE, or they are not being used properly. And then Premier, since the province or the country started dealing with the issue of COVID-19, there's been a number of reports, negative reports, that allege some corruption within the provincial government in particular. The recent one has been the reports about the inflation of price in the allocation of water tanks in schools. And previously there was the issue of that involved the distribution of blankets. Are you not worried that the money that is meant for people is being redirected to other use? And lastly, to NEC or AETA, Premier indicated that we've lost about 80,000 jobs. We know that the country is facing serious issues in regards to unemployment. What is the plan of the province in trying to deal with that and revive that crisis, if I may say?
Thank you very much. The questions that are coming online, they largely relate to education. One relates to a school that is requesting children to not to bring the same uniform to school, to change the uniform, because they are citing hygiene reasons. So they are not allowed to use the uniform that they were using a day before yesterday. So the question is whether it's allowed under the protocol. The second question relates to the school governing bodies that are mobilizing for children, for parents to withdraw their children from going to school. What the person of the project. So we will allow for responses on the first one.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the questions. Before, however, I respond to the one question that I have, we do have one issue that we would like to raise, and it's something that we have seen to be, in the Department of Health, to be a serious concern. The fact that our people in the province in particular are very reluctant to allow themselves to be hospitalized should there be a need. We are making a call that if your health worker or your clinician is advising you as a patient when you are positive to go and be hospitalized, please go and allow yourself to be hospitalized. The reason we think we need to make this call now is that in the past couple of days, we've had a few fatalities that were not necessary, purely on the basis that people did not allow themselves to actually be hospitalized. We are not saying people must be hospitalized in our facilities in particular. They can go to any private hospital if that's what they want to do. However, as a province, we've got enough beds right now to accommodate everyone. So we are really making a call. The latest death was this morning of a lady who both herself and her husband were found to be positive a few days back, and they insisted on self-isolation. and she began having respiratory problems yesterday, and when she was advised to go to the hospital, she refused to do so because she believed that her husband was taking good care of her, even though her husband is not a clinician. Now, she woke up this morning and started having challenges, and she passed on. Now, that is a death that is unnecessary, and we don't believe that as a province we really should be reaching that particular level of death. So we are really making a call and saying to our people, when you go to hospital, we are not confirming that you are weak, but it's because the clinicians are there for a reason, and they're supposed to take care of ourselves. So we are making that call. In relation to the question that has been asked, you are correct. In fact, we were the first ones to raise a concern in relation to the number of health workers that is spiked individual unions, so that we are able to actually thoroughly deal with the matter. We also don't want to preempt or assume that it's health workers that are not utilizing the PPE correctly, but we believe we need to have a proper discussion, look at the investigation that has been put out there, but also agree on a proper approach that will assist our health workers, because we also don't want to be punitive in our approach. We want to make sure that we take care of the lives of our health workers, because they are our foot soldiers. In relation to the availability of PPE, we don't think that is the case, because we do have enough PPE in the different facilities. Of course, you would find that the PPE is not distributed in a similar fashion, because we have different managers, but we've got protocols on when the PPE is distributed, and the PPE is distributed according to the level of exposure for each particular health worker. However, in the next week's media briefing, I think we are going to have a proper report, a report that's going to be informed by a round-the-table discussion with all the stakeholders that are involved, including the health workers themselves. But what we want to do when we come and speak to you about this, we also want to come with a solution, so that we don't just poke holes on who's wrong and who's doing what, but we also want to have a proper strategy and approach on how to deal with the matter. We've got a few suggestions, we've got a few things that we've started implementing as the province of KwaZulu-Natal, but we want to make sure that when we implement this, we have our stakeholders there buy-in in the implementation of our strategy. Thank you very much.
We've got reports coming from a number of institutions where they are saying CEOs of hospitals, or I don't know whether I would say management of hospitals, are forcing workers to continue working even though they've tested positive. I don't know if there's one hospital that they mentioned in particular. I don't know if I can say that. It's King Edward. They are saying that there were workers that tested positive, and the CEO insisted that worker must continue working. And it's something that it looks like it's happening all around the province. Maybe NSC can address that.
Sure. No. It's not. It's certainly not the position of the department that workers continue to work while they are positive, on the basis that once you become positive, you become infectious. And if you continue working, then it means you continue to spread the virus, whether you are symptomatic or not. So I think it helps to give a name of a facility, because then we are going to go and properly investigate it. But I don't believe this is something that is common in all our facilities. However, what we have done over the past week is have different engagements, like I said, with the different unions, and we've agreed on an approach that should there be a case in a particular facility, instead of being general, you give us a name and we deal with it. Purely on the basis that managers are human beings as well. They often manage according to their own personalities sometimes. So it's important that when there's a particular case in a particular facility, you raise it and we take that. We are going to investigate this particular case in King Edward, and then we'll be able to provide a report. An example of us dealing with such cases that in Escort, about about a week back, there was a challenge between management and the health workers. And our unions were able to report to the HOD, and immediately the matter was resolved. So we'll continue to intervene as and when there are challenges that are not meant to be happening in our facilities. But what we are calling on is that when there's a case, bring it to our attention as soon as possible so that we don't allow it to spread. But it's certainly not a position of the department that health workers must work while they are positive. In fact, over the week, we've had a discussion with some unions on whether the health worker is expected to take sick leave or is given leave by the department, and that's the policy we are working on now. However, immediately we are found to be positive, you have to self-isolate. Sorry, you have to isolate. It then depends whether you are self-isolating or you are isolating in a facility. There's no way you should be continuing to work, but we'll investigate the matter that you've raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier, my colleagues, members of the media. Indeed, I think the Premier indicated that in his statement that it is evident that from the COVID, the economy has further contracted. We will all appreciate that even before COVID. The economy was already under distress, and in our was already in the negative. What are we doing about it? The Premier is going to be unveiling the Provincial Economy Reconstruction Plan. That is going to be looking at various economic classes that are showing signs of possible localization, that we think we've got competitive advantages that we use as a province. And that plan will show very clearly as to how the province already, as we talk, there are investors that are already attracted to us as the province. And that shows a very positive signs to us that although the whole globe, the whole country, or the whole of the world is facing the economic difficulties, but you still have investors coming to invest in our province. So there is a plan that the province, the Premier, will be sharing with you, which will show clearly what sectors we are going to be talking about, particularly focusing on, and there's a variety of the sectors. They're quite broad sectors that we are going to be talking to, that the Premier's plan is going to be talking to. And we are going to be also showing the localization plan. The Premier spoke about the economy, the informal economy that is opening now. And you would remember that we spoke also previously in few weeks, in the previous weeks, how we were supporting the informal economy and SMMEs in particular, and those plans are now in place, and we are already beginning to support the SMMEs as they open, as the economy is opening. And we do believe that the informal economy or the SMMEs are the ones actually that normally are quick to turn around the economic situation than even the big business. But the Premier's economic reconstruction plan will talk comprehensively about what the province is doing in this front. Thanks.
No, thanks. I will deal with questions that were directed to us on the issues of education in particular. Firstly, it is concerning us that out of the serious challenge such as COVID-19, some people will think that they've got an opportunity to loot state coffers. And therefore, where there are reports that indicate element of corruption, as the province will take serious actions on that. We have directed an investigation on the issues of blankets within the Department of Social Development, and I believe that report, in a period of about 2 weeks, that report will be made public. The second issue, the issue of inflation of prices. With regard to water tankers, the province, the Department of Education, is not the one that provides water tankers in the province, but water tankers are provided by Rand Water through their implementing agents. And in this regard, those implementing agents, it's KUHA, IDT, and DBSA. So we will be following on this issue, but so far we are aware of the report that they've given us that the installation price is 28,000, which include installation of the base at 10,000 and the tank of 6,000, and then the delivery. But it is an issue that we have to sort with national. It does not come from the province because it is not the provincial department that have appointed, as far as I know. It's not the department that has appointed Rand Water, but Rand Water is appointed by national. So wherever there is any report, as the province, we will investigate that. And as I'm saying, any report will be made public. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable President. Can you take the final round?
The issue of the uniform. Look, the issue of uniform is not part of protocols. It's not part of COVID-19 essentials or non-negotiables that are in place. If there is such, that will be coming from school governing bodies, but there is no direction from the department or from government that says students must not use a uniform or they must change uniform. That does not come from the government. And I think the question about SGBs mobilizing students not to attend classes, we have not been made aware of such things, but where it happens, we will respectfully engage with those, because it's important that we educate each other. We are in a time of uncertainty and there is high anxiety, and therefore we cannot bulldoze and undermine the fears of the people. It will be based on engagement, and the president once indicated that we will not force parents to send their kids to school, but it will be based on engagement. What we are not going to do is to allow this academic year to collapse. We will strive by all means to ensure that those kids who can still go to school are supported and they complete this academic year.
Thank you, Honorable Mrs. Any indication of follow-up question, colleagues? Otherwise, we move towards wrapping up. I've got one from Karinda from Union Africa, who is requesting an update from the Premier on the gender-based violence pandemic. Can the Premier tell us how the government is implementing programs to curb such violence, and what are our police force doing to investigate cases and find perpetrators?
Thanks. I think that question is important, and as we have reflected, we believe that men have a bigger role to play in fighting gender-based violence, and as men, we have to be all out. As government, we are working with the multi-stakeholder forums to ensure that we inculcate and change the behaviors and try to work on the attitude of our people in general. So that is the first campaign, ensure that we engage on preventative measures. But secondly, we work on ensuring that people do not stay and remain quiet when they are abused. That must be reported. Thirdly, we are working on ensuring that all cases are monitored up until each and every case is concluded. We have a system in the Department of Community Safety and Liaison where we are ensuring that once there is a reported case, that case is elevated to the Provincial Commissioner and it's then followed up until it is finalized. But thirdly, we have a number of NGOs fourthly, there are a number of NGOs that are supporting us in the fight against gender-based violence. We want also to thank the business sector through MEC Dube. Some have contributed through providing big lights and cameras in certain areas that we believe are hotspots, especially those outlets that sells alcohol. And we continue to monitor that because there is a relationship between the abuse of alcohol and gender-based violence. We are monitoring that and will continue to do that. Sesingasamarayza nje ngesinguni. Okokuqala siyafisa ukuthi osukwini lanamuhla sihalalisele bonke abantu besilisa abangobaba ukuthi lolu usuku lobaba sibabongele sibafisele usuku oluhle but sidlulisa umyalezo othi bonke abantu besilisa mababe sekhaleni lempi yokulwisana nokuhlukunyezwa kwabantu besifazane nabantwana. Siyisizwe angeke saphumelela uma sizoqhubeka sibona izehlakalo esibo la abantwana nabantu besifazane behlukunyezwa khona ngabantu besilisa. Thina esabantu besilisa kumele sibambe iqhaza elikhulu ekulwisaneni nalesi sihlava. Sisho ngazwi linye ukuthi sekwanele futhi hayi egameni lethu. Ngoba umuntu wesilisa ongubaba ngempela ngeke amhlukumeza unkosikazi kumbe umuntu wesifazane nanoma nini. Siyafisa ukubalula ukuthi inani labantu ababonakala betheleleka ngesifo se-Covid19 liyaqhubeka lisiphatha kabi. Nakuba iCave KwaZulu Natal kungekona ukuthi inyuka ngendlela ephezulu, kodwa esikubonayo la ibalo zinyuka khona kusinikeza umsebenzi ukuthi kusho ukuthi kuzomela senze okukhulu ngaphe kwalokho esikwenzayo ukuvimba ukutheleleka kwabantu. Okunye ukuthi njengoba sesingena ekutheni siqegise i-lockdown sivumele ezinye ingxenye zomnotho, kuzobaleka ukuthi abantu bakithi baqhubeke nokugwema ukuthi kutheleleke kakhulu. Njengoba umongameli ekhulumile kuleli sonto washo ukuthi ama-restaurant asezovumela ukuthi abantu bahlale badle, ama-conference centers ney'ndawo ey'bamba imihlangano zizovunyelwa kodwa zisebenze ngaphansi kwama-restrictions. Amakhasino namasinema kuzoqhubeka kusebenze, iy'ndawo zokuzicwala nakho konke zizovulwa ngokusemthethweni. Kodwa siyafuna ukusho ukuthi zonke lezo ndawo kulindeleke ukuthi zisebenze zilandela imigomo ebekiwe. Ayikho ndawo ezoyekelwa nje ukuthi isebenze without imigomo ebekiwe. social distancing noma kunzima kodwa kuzomele ilandelwe. Ukusetshenziswa kwama-mask, sanitizers nokuwasha izandla ngamanzi nensipho kuseyiyona solution. Enye yezinto esiyibonayo kuleli sonto edlule ukuqhubezeleka kwalokho okuthiwa ngama-cluster cases. La sibona khona abantu abasebenza ndawonye betheleleka babe baningi. Sikubonile komunye womasipala la esifundazweni saKwaZulu Natal. Sike sakubona futhi ey'ndaweni ey'ningi la kusebenza khona abezempilo. Siyafisa ukuthi sidlulise umyalezo ukuthi asisebenzise indlela zonke zokuyivikela uma sisemsebenzini. Siyafisa ukubonga umnyango wezempilo nomnyango wezemfundo ngokubambisana ukungenelela la kunezikole okubonakala khona othisha nabantwana betheleleka ngaleli gciwane le-Covid-19. Isibalo sisonke la KwaZulu Natal sothisha nabantwana abathelelekile singu-74. Kodwa siyafisa ukunikezela isiqinisekiso esithi bonke laba iningi labo kusuke kuabantu abatheleleke ngaphandle mese uthola ukuthi beza ezikoleni okuveza ke isimo sokuthi kutheleleka abanye. Yingakho i-department ye-education ne-department ye-health bengenelela ngokusheshsha uma kunama cases. Izikole simiswe ukufunda mhlawumbe insukwana kuklinwe kuscreenwe nokutesta bonke abantu okungenzeka ukuthi bathelelekile. Siyafisa futhi ukuzwakalisa ukuthi ukuvulelwa kophuzo akuyona into ethi abantu sebengaphuza noma ikanjani. Siyabonga ukuthi abaningi abadayisa uphuzo abalidayisi kuphuzwe lapho. Kodwa kuyacaca kukhona indawana emalokishini nasey'ndaweni zasemakhaya la okuvunyelwa khona ukuthi abantu baphuze. Lokho siyokuthathela-ke izinyathelo nama-inspections azoqhubeka under i-leadership ka-MEC Dubencube. But ngaphezu kwalokho siyafuna ukuyala ngoba sibona izehlakalo zokuhlukunyezwa kwabantu besifazane, izehlakalo neyingozi emgwaqeni zinyuka. And uma sibheka konke lokhu kukhandwa ukuthi abantu baphuze mese beshaya abantu besifazane nabantwana babahlukumeze, abanye badrive iy'moto bebe bephuze utshwala. Ngeke sakubekezelela konke lokho. Yingakho sithi amaphoyisa akaqhubeke aqinise isandla kubantu abasebenzisa uphuzo oludakayo mese benza izinto ezingafanele. Siyabonga.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Just one request from the SABC for the Premier to just retake from the adjusted level 3 to the end of that section on the economy. The SABC that
We in Zulu. We commence today's briefing by reflecting on the state of readiness for the advanced level 3 adjusted strategy as announced by the President on Wednesday. And in addition to categories that were allowed to operate under level 5, 4, and 3, in addition to those, we will now see restaurants beginning to be open for people to go and sit down for meals. Accredited and licensed accommodations will be in operations with the exception of home sharing accommodations like Airbnb and others. Conferences and meetings will now be allowed but within the restrictions of public gatherings. Cinemas, theaters, as well as casinos will now be allowed to operate. And all of these are quite important. It includes personal care services, including hairdressers and beauty services, as well as non-contact sports. As President announced, these will be now allowed to open, but following the restrictions that have been put in place. We welcome this as an intervention that will help us, as most of these sectors are in the informal and informal sectors, and they are scattered around KwaZulu-Natal as a whole, in townships, rural areas, as well as in town. They are operated by small as well as big enterprises. So it contributes to the economic activity. We are emphasizing this point, yet we would want to emphasize that they would still have to operate under restrictions that are in place and adhering to all of those guidelines. As the province, we are suffering a contraction of the economy, which is estimated to be around 30 billion. And we are likely to see unemployment beginning to rise, as it is expected that 30,000 jobs will be lost in formal and informal sectors. So we welcome this move, but we want to caution and make it clear to our people, let us all follow precautionary measures that have been put in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll adjust it here for today, colleagues, until next week. Just to highlight that we share with you the program policy via advisories. The focus we think is going to be on preparation for the sectors of the economy to be ready to operate. Those that are involved in the advanced level assessment. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.